I'd love to start with the topic of the Saints and the subsidies that NFL teams are getting. Well, the NFL and the NBA and Tom Benson as an entity are getting here in the state. Yesterday we posted a story about it on KPEL. It went crazy. I don't think a lot of people understand the concessions that the NFL teams, owners, and everything get in this country. Outrageous. I think up until recently, still operating as a tax-exempt nonprofit. Really crazy. We'll start with you this morning, Carol, if you don't mind if I jump around the topics. Just a little bit.
I love this topic. I happen to have someone in my family who was in the legislature when some of these things were first passed and tried to fight against it and cautioned against it. And Mr. Benson being an excellent negotiator and everybody being scared to death of possibly losing the Saints. And especially after Katrina, because San Antonio was courting them very heavily.
Yes.
So in 2009, this whole deal was renegotiated. But don't think we're alone. I did a little online research. OMG. You should. These people, these are feudal dynasties. These NFL football franchises. Usually, what happens is it's a big wealthy family, multi-billionaires, right? And they go to the state and they say, okay, let's form this. You were talking about public-private partnerships.
There you go.
There you go. So anyway, the public gets the shaft and the private sector, gets the money. In this case, billionaires getting public subsidies. And what happens is everybody's convinced we need this major league team in our community. It's going to be such a catalyst for economic development and all this money. Well, it may be to a degree. But what you give away is just unbelievable. And it's all over the country. And you're right. People don't realize what was happening. And a lot of those offices, look at what just happened recently. Jeff Landry just moved his office. Where were they renting before when they had all of this office space that the state was already paying for to Tom Benson?
As part of this Benson
As
Tower.
part of the deal. But that's not the only thing. They formed what they call a stadium district. And the Saints, as I recall, were entitled to an extra 4-cent sales tax within that stadium district. And of course, couldn't just make the money on what was around the Superdome, so they took in Canal Place and all those other places, as I recall. Now, this is quite a while ago, so they may have changed the terms of the deal, whatever, but that's what I recall. They got an extra 4 cents, and at that time, New Orleans, I think, was getting 9 cents. So there you go. And that's on top of New Orleans. You look at their taxation in New Orleans, it's ridiculous. But anyway, so he gets not only that, then he comes in and he says, well, we're going to do the Pelicans, and we're going to do this and that and the other. And then after Katrina, as I said, when they were scared that they were going to lose them, well, then they just pumped up the deal. But you can go all over the country. By the way, in California, the city of Santa Clara broke ground on a $1.3 billion stadium for the 49ers. Now, the deal included $116 million in public funding with supposedly private capital making up the rest. But that's not what happened. They form a stadium authority, and they're borrowing $950 million. Now, who's the stadium authority? The city council.
Oh, God.
The city council is the stadium authority, so there you go. The taxpayers are going to be on the head. But here's the other thing. Although most of the capital was underwritten by the public, the revenue generated by the facility will be pocketed by Denise DeBartolo York. Remember that DeBartolo name? Well, her net worth is estimated at $1.1 billion. Well, she took control of the team in 2000 from her brother, Eddie DeBartolo Jr.
Dun, dun, dun.
Story after he pleaded guilty to concealing an extortion plot by a former unnamed governor of Louisiana.
Oh, this is like a whole other show.
Let me tell you something. You can go all over the country. Hamilton County, Ohio, Cincinnati, Minnesota Vikings, every single one of these. About the only one that you can even say is halfway decent is the Packers, because they're owned by the community.
Yeah. Warren.
Yeah, it's kind of like the old country song, the team owners get the gold mine and the taxpayers get the shaft.
Absolutely.
And it's not just NFL football, it's all of those professional sports franchises. Every once in a while you'll have a fringe kook candidate will come along and actually will challenge some of these things and some of this thinking, and then everybody, tags him as being a kook, being crazy, being a nut, out of touch with reality. Why are you saying these things? One was Ross Perot in 1992 when he said that, economic development of so many cities is bringing in a major league sports franchise, which does absolutely nothing to help the city. All it does is have a few good paying construction people working there for a while, and after that all you got is a few high priced millionaire players who most of the time don't even live in that city. and then you have the rest of the people selling beer and hot dogs. They give away the farm. The NFL, Major League Sports, I believe, is totally exempt from antitrust laws, completely. And they sat there, and just go back to our former president, George W. Bush, and the deal that they did with the Texas Rangers Stadium, which they went in there and didn't even put up the down payment that they had agreed to put up. The taxpayers underwrote the bond for it, borrowed the money, they built the stadium. Bush put no money into it, sold out, made, $18-20 million or something like that?
Wow.
They buy, the people buy the stadium. The people buy the stadium, and now you have more skyboxes in those stadiums than ever before. The reason is because the owner gets all the money from the skyboxes, and plus, once the stadium is paid off, once the bond's paid off, who owns it? Damn sure not the people. Mm-hmm. It's the team owners. The Federal Reserve, I think it was out of Dallas, did a position paper back about 15 years ago in which they said that having a Major League Sports franchise in a city is about 65% of the time a net loss to that city. Wow. Because you give up so much to have them, is that basically it is a net loss. Now, they went ahead and said one thing further, is that most of the time sponsoring a Super Bowl is a loss. Because what happens is that everything is so geared around the Super Bowl is that people don't come there for other conventions or anything. They go somewhere else. Plus, they put so much time, money, and effort into just doing that Super Bowl, and that the bank receipts overall, and I had this big long list of them, how the bank receipts didn't go up, during that period of time, stayed pretty much flat, and or maybe went up just a little bit, but when you put the 3 months before, the 6 months before, it basically was a loss.
Warren, I think I saw that guy, that Federal Reserve guy, made a speech to the then no longer existent Chamber of Commerce. And can anybody find the Lafayette Chamber of Commerce? Anyway, so he made this speech, and someone in the audience, my husband to be specific, because this was when all that discussion was going on, he said, well, please tell me the economic impact of a major league sports team. And he said, they have, when all is said and done, after you take away the concessions they get and everything else, about the impact of a mid-sized department store.
Wow.
That's about what he said.
That's unreal.
Now, and to Warren's point, in Louisiana, taxpayers footed the bill for the addition of the new, with the leather seats and the cup holders to cradle the drinks that they're going to be charged for at, outrageous prices at the concession stands, which Mr. Benson owns. And the corporate welfare doesn't stop there. I think they get a $6 million subsidy every year from the state.
A lot of people just don't realize they love the game and everything so much it will never be questioned.
They call it an inducement payment. Well, yeah, and I'm surprised the phones aren't lining up now saying we're un-American for questioning all of these things about our beloved Saints. And I love the Saints, and I'm happy that the state has the Saints. But for heaven's sake, can some ray of rationality every once in a while shine through the political structure?
The one other thing I want to point out is that a few years ago they came out and said that the Saints need $750 million to renovate the Superdome. This is before Katrina, to renovate the Superdome and to do the things necessary to keep them in New Orleans. And it said $750 million. What are we going to get? A money-losing franchise and all of that stuff. Alabama spent $750 million in economic development. What did they get? A Mercedes factory and a whole bunch of other things. Mississippi spent about $1 billion. What do they get? A Nissan factory up there, a whole bunch. I said, at least if we spend $750 million to keep the Saints in New Orleans, the Alabama citizens and the Mississippi citizens will have good enough paying jobs from their investment. They will be able to afford to come here and buy the tickets to see the Saints. Somebody said that time, they said Saints are threatening to leave, and a man said the Saints can go to Memphis, the Saints can go to Texas, and the Saints can go to hell as far as I'm concerned.